Many years ago, when I was a young analyst in the worlds of risk management and insurance, I did a study with some pharmaceutical marketers. Yes, I'm sorry, I did work for the dark side briefly when I was young. And in this study, part of it included a survey of doctors, of physicians, and we got very few responses. We sent out a mail survey, got very few responses back, and someone said, well, let's offer the doctors $5 if they answer the survey. My reaction to that was, in my youth and naivete, was, oh, come on, guys, what's $5 to a doctor? They make so much money and they do such important work. And they said, you'd be amazed, it could be a quarter, and many more would respond. So we offered $5, and the response rate went way up to 40%. Now, the point of this story is not to disparage physicians, most of whom are idealistic and to do great work, but to point out that physicians, like everyone else, are economic actors, first and foremost, and secondly, feel that they deserve to be compensated for their time. Now, that's all well and good, but we have a system that gives too many opportunities for temptation or just carelessness or bias of various kinds to creep into the process. I thought of all of this when I read a study published this week by ProPublica, which does a lot of great journalism work, under the headline, Now There's Proof. Docs who get company cash tend to prescribe more brand name medications. Now, you'd think that this is obvious. The pharmaceutical companies are nothing if not smart about how to make money, and they wouldn't be making these payments of various kinds if they weren't getting a return on investment for it with more sales of, let's say, brand name drugs versus generics and so on. Well, it's now confirmed. They definitely get a great bang for their buck with all sorts of payments, whether it's paying doctors to attend seminars, whether it's these sorts of subsidized vacations where they earn medical credits. Even simple things like gifts or dinners can affect a doctor's prescribing patterns. Not every doctor, of course, but some doctors. What they did is they matched records on payments from pharmaceutical and medical device makers in 2014, and that includes all of the forms of payment I just described, with corresponding data on doctors' medication choices. They got that from Medicare's prescription drug program. So they had a lot of good data to work with. What they found was that doctors who received more than $5,000 from these companies that year typically had the highest brand name prescribing percentages, and those who received no payments, internists, for example, used brand names about 20% of the time, and that was about 30% for those who received more than $5,000. If you start to get into the economics of how drug companies work, that gets into a lot of money because brand names cost way more than generics. Now, what's the mechanism? How do doctors get persuaded to do this? That's not completely clear yet, but we need to understand it. We also need to move to a more rational system of prescribing, of referring to other doctors, of performing cost-intensive procedures like tests and surgeries. We don't have a rational system right now. So the purpose of my talking about this is not to bash doctors. It's to say we need a change.